Hello, good afternoon, everyone. How are you doing today? So, I hope you're doing well. My name is Aviraj, and I'm from Hack to Skill, and I'll be your host for today. So, it's my absolute pleasure to welcome you all to the AMA, that is the Ask Me Anything session for the GenAI Hackathon, that is the APAC edition. So, it's a APAC wide edition and the hackathon that we're talking about. This initiative is presented by Google Cloud and powered by Hack to Skill. So, in this hackathon, we're diving headfast into the real world challenges spanning across various industries like banking, financial services, that is BFSI, manufacturing, retail, e commerce, media, entertainment, as well as open innovation. So get ready to roll up your sleeves and collaborate with your fellow innovators and make a real impact and create some deployable products. But before we deep dive into the heart of the event, so let's just set the stage for the incredible journey that lies ahead. And I'll be walking you through what exactly is expected in this particular hackathon, how you need to make the submission and proceed forward. And one of the major highlights for today's session is that some incredible speakers and AI experts from itself, they'll be gracing this panel and addressing the questions live. So yeah, but that will come in at a little later stage of this particular conversation. But before we do that, let me just share my screen and I'll walk you through what the entire initiative is all about, right? And as well as the overall submission flow that you all need to follow. Just give me a moment. Yes, I hope the screen is visible. If it is, please drop a yes or a thumbs up in the chat box. So it'll be really great. Wonderful. I can see some responses coming down there. Yeah. So yeah, without further ado, let's just begin with this. So as you can see, this is the initiative that we're talking about, GenAI Hackathon. And there are only 2 days remaining for the submission or the idea submission for this particular hackathon, right? So we need to hurry up actually. And when you click on register now, so if you have already registered, it will directly jump to the dashboard, the participant dashboard that we have. If not, you have to fill up a form and register for this hackathon. So when you click on register now, since I have already registered, right? So it will redirect me to this particular dashboard. Yeah, I hope this is visible, right? Yeah, the dashboard itself. So it's a very simple process that you need to follow over here. First of all, you need to form a team. So to form a team, you need to go down at the team management section. You need to just create a team or particularly join a team if you have received a particular invitation for the same. So you can click on the create team. You can give your team a name. You can put in some email IDs that you want to be a part of your team, right? You can invite your fellow collaborators and just have them as a part of your team. Besides that, they'll receive a pop-up on the dashboard and they'll receive an email that, yeah, your friend has requested you to join the team and basically be a part of it. So when that particular process is completed, what you have to do is you can, of course, there have been multiple masterclasses and multiple sessions included in this particular hackathon. So if you want any reference or any particular, any certain technology, anything that you want to know about this particular hackathon, and how do you need to go about it, and the various technologies where GenAI can be absolutely disruptive, right? So you can refer to the resources section, and everything is listed down here. It's listed over here at the top of the screen. Moving down, you can also access some good and frequent FAQs right here by clicking on this. And what you exactly need to do is develop your project. So as the first stage of filtration, you need to submit an idea, a process flow as to how you will attempt a particular sector, right? So as I mentioned in the beginning, there are various kind of problem statements and various themes that we're moving forward with, various industry verticals, BFSI, manufacturing, retail, e-commerce, etc. So you have to select any one of those and create your idea around it using Google GenAI and GenAI tools and the overall technology itself. And how you need to submit it is basically using this particular PPT. So you can download this PPT by clicking over here. And every single thing that needs to be submitted, all the guidelines are already listed on this PPT. So you can delete this particular slide when you make the submission actually. But as you can see, every single thing, all the information, all the headers that are absolutely essential to be in your submission, everything is listed over here. And accordingly, you need to submit. And you need to choose the challenge or a particular kind of a technology or industry vertical rather from this particular section. And the way you need to make the submissions is by clicking on this button. So just choose a problem statement and attempt all these questions. So you need to put in the answers, and at the end, you just need to submit your PPT, which you would have attempted from this, in a PDF format. So that's it. That's how you need to make the submission. That's a brief walkthrough of it, right? And moving forward, I just like to again reiterate that the submissions and the registrations as well. So if anybody of you hasn't registered for the hackathon, so please feel free to go do so, because there are a lot of perks associated with this one, right? So it's not only just a hackathon that we just start out with and end with by the end of the day after some pitching. It's also a learning curve, a kind of an upskilling initiative that we are doing with Google Cloud. So during this, as I mentioned about the various masterclasses, right, you can refer to them from the resources section, and you'll also get certified by Google on valid submissions. So that is a wonderful perk. And that is also on GenAI. So GenAI is a buzzword right now. Everybody's talking about it, right? So getting certified by Google on GenAI, that's one of the major propositions down here. So of course, you can enroll in this particular initiative and reap the benefits. That's I would recommend from my end as well. Yeah, so moving forward, so this is about the hackathon itself and how you need to go about it and how you need to make the submissions, right? But let's now come to one of the most important aspects that is basically the reason that we've gathered here, right? So as the name suggests, the primary agenda for this session is to address your queries, address your questions, and to make you more familiar with how you need to go about it and what is the approach that you need to take. So we'll be setting up the context and calling the experts now. So it's finally the time for that. So are you guys ready? So if you guys are ready to meet your experts and to meet your mentors, please drop a yes or just show some excitement in the chat box. Would really love to see that. Wonderful. I can see some responses coming in. Okay then. So let's begin with this. So first of all, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to introduce Murari Ramaka. He's a seasoned leader in the realms of GenAI and AI, boasting over 16 years of rich experience in data analytics and cloud platform across diverse sectors. Murari excels in crafting data strategies, shaping product roadmaps, and providing technical guidance to development teams. And with notable roles at Microsoft, KPMG India, he has led data engineering practices and shaped GCP data platforms. And now at Google, Murari drives business value through innovative applications of GenAI. And his role as a mentor of change at Atal Innovation Mission highlights his dedication for fostering innovation. And also, Murari is a distinguished figure in AI, GenAI, and data analytics industry, shaping the way it should be moving forward. So welcome, Murari. Welcome to the session. We're really pleased to have you on this particular panel. So wonderful. We're really looking forward to this.
Thanks, Aviraj, and happy to be part of here. Good afternoon, everyone, and looking forward to interacting with you. Thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, and we just not have Murari over here. This panel is also joined by Bhushan Garware. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bhushan. So he's also a distinguished authority in artificial intelligence, data analytics, and cloud technologies. And with over 16 years of experience as well in the industry, Bhushan has excelled in healthcare, manufacturing, and finance sectors. Throughout his career, Bhushan has adeptly engineered and executed intricate data platforms and machine learning solutions while providing invaluable leadership to development teams. And along with that, his dedication to AI transcends technical prowess and evident in his 14 publications with 74 citations and highlighting his significant contributions to the field. Currently, Bhushan leverages his vast knowledge as an AI consultant at Google Cloud, helping organizations to unlock the power of AI and navigate their way through with confidence. So Bhushan, it's a pleasure to have you here as well on this particular panel. Glad to have you on this. Bhushan, you're on mute.
Yes, thanks, Avi. And I'm excited to answer. I'm already seeing some interesting questions coming up. So looking forward.
Absolutely. So yeah, let's just begin with this. So we have received a list of questions in our support emails and through the communications that we have rolled out, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll be directing the question alternatively to both of you, and based on that we can take it from there. So yeah, moving forward with this particular section. So the first question is Bhushan for you. So it would be what are the best practices for preparing and indexing private data for optimal question answering performance? So if
Okay.
you could shed some light on that, that'd be great. Yeah, please.
Sure. Sure. So we are seeing many questions about these use cases, like question answerings on private document. Uh, Not only for this hackathon, overall, I would recommend you to start with, the out of the box product that Google offers. So Google has Vertex AI search and conversation as a product. So it is kind of a no code kind of an offering given by Google. You can bring your documents into cloud storage, or even you can index some of the website data based on your application. uh, Consider this as your baseline. You bring your documents into G Cloud, and then start indexing your documents on its own. And once your data store is ready, you can start question answering to it. It will give you state of the art results in most of the cases. So I would recommend you should start with this approach as your baseline. Fire your some of the question. In case if you feel that you're not getting an expected answer, or if you need some kind of a modifications on the top of the what answers that you are getting, I would recommend you second option. That second option is uh, leveraging a data store or the retrieval part of search and conversation. Means, indexing is already done, and then you can consume that retrieval via an API. So Google has a discovery engine API where you can bring the context, and then you can work on the top of the context and use it for your answer generation. So here you have an option to customize the way you present your answer, but still a retrieval job is done by the tool. And the third option is doing end-to-end customization. And I'll give a little bit longer answer because there are multiple questions, and we don't have to reach to those already. The third option is doing end-to-end in a custom way. Now this is at a one end, it will give you a complete flexibility on your process. You can choose your own pre-processing method. You can use your own uh, document chunking strategies. You can use your own embedding models. You can choose your own retrieval in the back, and you can use your own LLM for answering purpose and custom prompts. At a one side, it will give you full flexibility, but on other side, every step has some parameters to play with. Now, a
Yeah.
small change in any of those parameter will impact your accuracy levels. And this can go very overwhelming for an individual who want to develop something very robust in short duration of time. So I would recommend you to go with this path, use a out of box product. If not, use a retrieval part of it and write your custom answer generation. As a last step, if that is really a need, go for building a custom steps. So these are the options that I would recommend for the hackathon participants. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, Bhushan, for taking him that question and shining some light on that. I actually had the next question for Murari ready, but I believe he's having some network issues. So we'll rather jump to the next one, which is aligned to you. So yeah,
Okay.
I think Murari is here. Yeah. Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, Murari.
Hey, hi.
I think, you can hear us properly, right? The network is stable
Yeah.
now. Perfect. So yeah, I'd like to direct the next question to you, Murari. The next one would be, how can we leverage Vertex AI's pre-built models to jumpstart our development process and reduce the training time?
Sure. So see, as we know, right, Vertex AI is just not a, what will say, a solution for developing the model, right? It's an end-to-end ML platform. So what you can get with Vertex AI is not just the pre-built, or I would say the models, which is LLM models, but you can go ahead and use it for training, testing, model deployment, feature explore, etc. Right? Within Vertex AI, one of the very important feature which we offer, right, and the question is very prevalent, right, that in case you do not want to go ahead and basically spend the time on training and creating a new model from scratch, what we offer is the three different options. Okay, the first option is the ready-made API. So maybe in case most of you, maybe who is on the call, might be knowing that Google offers multiple different APIs, which is like speech to text, text to speech, doc AIs, etc. So there are more than 18 APIs which are present. The second option which we give is the Auto ML, right? So what does Auto ML do is there are multiple different models which are readily available to consume, right? So something like image classification, text classification, video object detection. So those are the models which are readily available, which can be consumed via AutoML platform using Vertex AI. And third one is nothing but the, if I'm talking about the LLM context, we have multiple different Google's first party model. And one of the super powerful model which we have is Gemini, right? So all these for Google first party model is exposed via an API. So if I talk about the foundational model, we have the foundational model for text, image, code, speech to text, text to speech. So all those models are exposed via an API, and then what will say, then these models can be directly used into your use case, right? So there are multiple options depending on which options suits for your use case, your requirement. You have the flexibility and the options to go ahead and select that and use it into your problem statement. Thanks, Sabi, for asking this question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Manoj, for taking that up. I hope that particularly answers this question. So thanks for that. Moving forward, the next question. So it's for Bhushan. How can we address the challenges of bias and fairness in evaluating NLP models?
Um,
I believe you could. I believe I was clearly audible, right? Bhushan? Or would you like me to repeat the question?
yeah. Could you repeat again, please?
Yeah, of course, of course. So the question is, how can we address the challenges of bias and fairness in evaluating NLP models?
Oh yeah, thank you. Uh,
Yeah.
so there are two options for you. So Vertex AI pipeline has model evaluation for fairness features. So right now it's a pre-GA offering, uh, but you can see if you can have access to it. So if you are using Vertex AI pipeline, there are two components, and it's a pre-built component which you can leverage, in your pipeline. It's called detect data bias operation, which returns the data bias matrix for all slices you pass into that component. And there is one more component called detect model bias operation, which returns the model bias metric for the slices that you pass to the component. Currently, these are the pre-GA features which you can leverage into Vertex AI pipelines. But I understand that this question is especially asked about NLP models. So there is a very interesting tool, and that is developed by Google Research Group, and it's called as a learning interpretability tool. And it is specially designed for visualization and understanding of NLP model. What I'll do is I'll just share the link of that tool. Feel free to play with that tool, and it's an open source, so you can start leveraging that tool. I'm sharing that link. I hope people would love to have a look at it. So this is especially designed for NLP models. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much, Bhushan. We'll share that across with the team itself and with all the participants, whosoever would like to utilize that, right? So thank you for addressing that particular question. Moving on to the next one, that's for Murari. How can
Sure.
we leverage Vertex AI's data labeling tools to ensure the quality and efficiency of our training data preparation?
Okay, again, thanks a lot for asking this question, right? When it comes to labeling, right, Google offers multiple different options in order to go ahead. And as everybody know, right, labeling is one of the very complex tasks, or one of the very important tasks when it comes to data science or developing any model, right? So from Google Cloud point of view, right, we offer, I would say, two to three different services, primarily for labeling, right? So in my previous answer, I spoke about AutoML, right? So consider if you are going ahead and using AutoML service, you have the option to upload your own data set, right? Though you will not be going to create the machine learning model here, but you can go ahead and give the data set and label yourself, depending on maybe if it's an image classification problem or text classification problem. You can use AutoML data set in order to do the labeling task. Okay, and then use the Google's model in order to, what will say, solve the problem and create the inferences and the scoring. The second thing what we offer is is something called as the labeling task. Again, it is right now there, but it will going to be deprecated. But yes, there is a labeling task also which are available as part of a Vertex AI platform, which can be consumed directly, right? So again, in order to solve this labeling, it's again very complex thing, and what we offer is the data set and the labeling task, which can be directly consumed for any user within the Vertex AI.
Right. Right. Thank you for that. Thank you for addressing that question, Murari. I'm sure that that would help a lot of participants out here. So yeah, the next question, I can see it's a kind of a lengthy one, a lengthy question for Bhushan I have over here. So yeah, moving on to the next question. So it goes like, how does Gemini's video inference model function? And can it be adapted to generate detailed descriptions of videos, including those without audio, enabling query based on semantics? I seek, so this is the question, right? And the person has also described what exactly do they need to, they want to bring up. So I seek a model capable of comprehensively learning from video content, discerning pertinent information such as timing, context for effective research within the video clips. So if you can shine some light on that, it will be great.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So let's take it part by part. So first of all, how does Gemini video inference model function? I'm sorry, I may not be able to comment on internal functionalities and how it is trained and how it is designed.
Of
So
course.
I may not be able to throw a light on how it functions, but I can definitely help you to solve your problem. So you're looking for, so from your question, I understand that you may have some videos where audio may not present. Also, you're looking for some search kind of an application, and you want to have some timestamp information coming up. So here is what I can recommend you to get started. You still have a video question answer and describe content. These two models, application there on Vertex AI Studio also. You can use Gemini for video Q&A. You can use Gemini for describe content, what is going on in a video, right? Apart from that, you can play with something else. So there was a real-time question also talking about video inference applications of Gemini, and the question was more about reducing the cost. So Google also have a video intelligence API. Okay, so this is very old kind of an API, and people use it for surveillance application and other applications as well. So you can leverage that API and get some additional content of what is happening in a video. Plus, you can split your entire video into smaller frames, and then you can use some of an image Q&A and other options also. If you have a transcript available of that video, you can still leverage it, combine everything together, and you can play with a multimodal RAG kind of application. Have your timestamps in a metadata field. So when you have a search, you can search with putting a filters on time data also, and you can actually bring end users like what they are looking for, what in the entire video which frame is actually described that of it. So just to cut your answer time, leverage existing video Q&A, describe content features of Gemini. You can augment some extra feature coming from video intelligence API. You can also import transcripts which are available, and again use timestamp as a metadata and do a multimodal RAG. Best of luck. Very complex use case. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. And thank you for breaking that down into bits and pieces and answering that question. So thank you for taking it up. Moving down to the next question we have for Murari. So it goes like, how can we monitor and track training progress of our models in Vertex AI to identify potential issues and optimize the performance?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Avi. And I would recommend everyone who is there onto the call to ask as much as questions possible. This is a golden opportunity for you
Right.
to get your questions, what else answered from us. So, going back to the question, right? Again, I will refer to my previous answers. So I spoke about Vertex AI, and you will keep referring and hearing this word again and again. Okay. So Vertex AI, as I said, is a platform. So not only just the LLM models or maybe one part of the machine learning problem, but it is capable enough to solve everything which is as part of the machine learning life cycle. So one of the very important feature which we offer as part of Vertex AI is called as pipeline, right? So consider if you go ahead and develop end-to-end pipeline, which starts with consider EDA, and then you do the what will say the complete ML ops or LLM ops pipeline. Consider you developed it into a ML into the pipeline options which are there in Vertex AI. From there you have the option to go ahead and check the status of each of the activities of each of the status or each of the what I'll say things which you are doing into the pipeline, right? So consider if I take the example, you are doing a fine tuning of LLM model, right, which is a very common use case, and I think most of you who are there on the call must be trying this, right? There are multiple fine tuning options, but when you are doing the fine tuning in the background, after filling the input data set or the tuning data set, it goes and create a pipeline. And you can see that pipeline again under the pipeline option within Vertex AI, and track that, okay, what is the status of that. So it will have a different boxes, okay? And then what you will see there is that, okay, this box execution is completed. The second box execution is completed, right? So with the help of pipeline, it gives you a complete understanding that what is the status of your training pipeline, which you are doing. Once your pipeline or your model is ready, and that's where the second feature. And I just want to add that it was not a part of question, but once you deploy that model, the second part, which is monitoring, comes very handy. So in once your model is like deployed as an endpoint, real-time endpoint or batch, what is the consumption of the model, you can go ahead and track the different type of metrics as part of monitoring option, which is again given within the Vertex AI platform. So just to summarize, because we are talking about LLM, there are two options: Vertex AI pipeline, and the second one is the monitoring. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Murari, for taking that up. I'm sure that answers this particular questions and explains it in kind of a lucid manner. So thank you for that one. So yeah, moving on to the next question that we have over here. So this question is for Bhushan. Please explain the ideology of building a data analytics tool with LLM.
Sure.
Yeah,
So, okay, discussing ideology would be too difficult, but you're talking about how can I use LLM for data analytics and all that, and also you explicitly talking about explaining the ideology. I would answer this in this fashion. Suppose if I want to what are the things that I expect from a typical data analytics tool, right? So I would say that a data analytics tool should do three things for me. One is identify. It should support the analyst to find the right data. Second is implement. I should have ability to fire some queries to get a desired results from that tool, right? And the third one, which is also very important, is to visualize the results in an intuitive manner. So if
right,
I want to come up with an analytics tool, I would say, okay, identifying, supporting right data, ability to fire queries, and ability to visualize. All
right,
the three areas you can have disruption by using LLMs. You can simply prompt it and ask a tool to bring the right data which I'm looking for. So you type in English and get the what data that you want. You
right,
type an English prompt and ask the tool, okay, bring me this data for this condition. Just type in English and get the data back. And eventually you can say that, hey, will you plot a pie chart or graph or something else for me? Just plain English, right? So all
right.
three areas you will see the disruption from LLM. So have a best of luck and come up with your own data analytics tool powered by LLMs. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Bhushan, for taking that up, and I'm sure that actually helps the person who has asked this particular question. Moving on to the next one. This is for Murari. So, what are the different deployment options available for our models in Vertex AI? Example, real time, batch, etc. So, if you can
Sure.
shed some light on that, it'll be great. Yeah, please.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Avi. So again, since you asked a question very pertaining to the deployment option, hence I will restrict my answer this time and try to make it shorter. Okay. Though we have different types of option to making the model container as part of training and deploying it, but when it comes to what will say final deployment after training, we offer both the option, which is real time, what to say, real time deployment as an endpoint, and the batch deployment of the model. What you can do is you can select that model, which will be the part of model registry. So anything you do in Vertex AI, and finally when the model is trained, it reflects into the model registry. So consider model registry like as a what to say, repository of all the models which you have. So what you can do is basically once the model is reflected into the model registry, you can go ahead and create an endpoint to that model using that particular model say option which we have, and then directly can consume that model as an endpoint, right? So both the option which is real time as well as batch is available as part of the model tuning process, or sorry, model deployment process, right? So you can go ahead and consume it, and since we are talking about the Vertex AI platform, both are readily available at Vertex.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much, Murari, for taking that up. I'm sure that helps a lot to not only the person who's asked this question, but to a lot of participants over here who are willing to particularly utilize Vertex AI in those particular areas. So yeah, thank you for that. Moving forward, it's again a lengthy question for Bhushan. I have to particularly jump to that. So yeah, it goes like our AI-powered chatbots often fail to understand complex queries or provide relevant responses, leading to customer dissatisfaction. Right. So how can we enhance the contextual understanding and conversational abilities of our chatbots to improve customer service automation?
Awesome. Yeah. So you're not alone. Many people facing, and we face these kind of an issues in our engagements. Okay. So let's try to see this. So this has happened because, you know, when somebody, if you see the architecture of how this RAG thing work is, you get an embedding of the question that is asked, and then you compare that embedding with what the embeddings of your document chunks that you have, right? Now imagine when you present your tool to end user, their style of writing the questions and everything is altogether different. So it is very hard to get a very good match of your embedding of the end user's question with embeddings of the document chunks that you have. So what we can do as a developer from a front end, so let's take this as, okay, we will not restrict our end users much. However, we can take care of some of the things from our side. So first way I would recommend you is you can try to play with some query expansion techniques. uh, in a very simple term is try to do some pre-processing on the queries rather than firing a raw query. You can do some simplification on the top of it. You can actually generate multiple queries out of it and see if you are getting a right hit or not. One of the technique which I tried worked for me is, what I did is I took the query from that. I used some prompting technique in order to get a overall generalization from that query. Now I use that generalized query to hit my retrieval. I get the relevant context. On that context, I use actual query to give the best answers. I saw that my results are definitely better in that sense. For example, if you're doing question answering on policy kind of a document, if somebody is saying that uh, I want to apply for a half day leave, how can I get it? So instead of going to too specific at a first step, how can I apply for a half day leave? You can make it generalized in a such a way that give me leave policy of the company. Now use this give me leave policy of the company to do your retrieval task. Bring the context. On that context, you fire actual query saying that for a half day leave, what can be done. So this is very simple hack that you can do. Another option is you can use multi retrieval strategies. As I said, is from one query you create 5 6 versions of that, parallelly ask it to your retrieval, get the answers from everyone, and then have a final answer coming out just to take care of the variance into it. The last option, which is very popular nowadays, and I would highly recommend you to have a look at it, it's called as a RAG fusion. And if you see RAG Fusion, it is actually designed to be an empathic AI that brings to light that your end user, when they find it difficult to express what they want, when they can't articulate what exactly they want from the system. So RAG Fusion is a very popular technique that people are trying it. I would recommend you to have a look at it. I'm sure you will get better results than what you have today. Let us know how it is going. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhushan, for breaking that down. That was really insightful. And coming to the next question that we have, that is again directed to Murari. So since we're going in that particular fashion, so yeah, it goes like, what are the best practices? Oh, I think we've already done that. So it's for yeah, it's for Bhushan. Yeah, which model can be used for RAG? Uh,
Yeah.
which model can
So
be used for RAG are the models the specific models for this particular
Yeah, I mean, we can go ahead with best practices. I don't think that we have covered that question.
okay.
yeah. Okay. So it goes like, what are the best practices for scaling our Vertex AI models to handle increased workloads and ensure high availability?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks again, Avi, for asking this question. So, first of all, folks, we are talking about the cloud, right? And the basic concept of the cloud itself is to support the scalability and what will say the load balancing and other important features, right? But when we talk about Vertex AI, and in my last answer, I was talking about the model deployment, right, as an endpoint. So when you are trying to deploy the model as an endpoint, you select a different computes, right, depending on to your workload, and you also have an option to go ahead and add the what will say accelerator or some type of CPU, GPU if you feel that you are going to incur that type of workload, right? So, and again, everything is we are talking about what will say the auto scaling type of features of cloud, which will come by default into the picture. So, with all these options, right, you can definitely work towards to solve this auto scaling and what will say high demand type of problem. So, basically, within Vertex AI, when you are trying to deploy the model as an endpoint, you can go ahead and add the accelerator. You can go ahead and use the auto scaling feature also, which is there while deploying the model as an endpoint, and then you can track using the monitoring features, right? And in case you need additional compute, you can go ahead and spin up in the runtime, right? So all those options are available based on to your demand and the auto scaling requirement.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much, Murari, for taking that up. And I hope that answers this particular question. So yeah, moving on to the next one, that's for Bhushan. So it's directed towards RAG. So the question is, which model can be used for RAG, and are there any specific or different models for it?
Yeah, the short answer is you can use whatever is your favorite model. So there's nothing as like you should use a particular model again based on your use cases. For example, you know, in a very simple term is if you have your private documents which are very different from each other, there is very less chance of having relate similarities across the documents. You don't need a bigger contact bigger search results to be included in a context, right? So that, so these are some of the consideration which you can uh, think about choosing the model. For example, if you are using RAG for some applications where you have a very similar documents, and for example, if you're working for a company and the documents are like, okay, these are the leave policies in India, these are the leave policies in US, these are the leave policies in UK, right? Now within the document there would be hardly any mention about it is for which country and all that, right? So whenever you type a question, I want to know the leave policy. Okay, so it is difficult to for the retrieval to find from which section that you are using and all that, where the context length can come into the picture. Okay, whatever I have with a bigger context, you ask the query in that. When the documents are altogether different, it is easy that okay, you just pass the right first hit that you got, pass it to your LLM and get the answers done. So no fix and right answers. Can I use different model? Yes. Which models to use depends on the application that you have. Uh, Token length is one of the parameter that you should consider when designing your RAG systems. Uh, when you are if you're using land chain or these kind of an application, there is a hyper parameter for you to choose, like how many documents to retrieve. And then if you are retrieving more documents, it has a direct impact on the token length. So that's how I would articulate it, like this is your design choice. Okay, no restriction on a particular model.
Understood. Actually, thank you for that particular insight. I'm sure that helps a lot to a lot of viewers over here. So yeah, thank you for taking that up, Bhushan. Moving on to the next question. So it's again for Murari. It goes like, does Vertex AI offer any features for automated model retraining or versioning to maintain optimal performance?
Okay, and whoever have asked the question, thanks a lot. I think it's pretty interesting question, right? And one of the very important feature which any data scientist looks when they are building the MLOps pipeline, right? Though we don't have, I would say, the directly associated features, but what we offer is something called as the model monitoring, which I was talking about, right? So what you can do with the model monitoring is you can set up the threshold, right? When I'm saying threshold with respect to the parameter, which could be accuracy, or some other parameters which you are looking for, right? You can set up that threshold into the monitoring console, okay, which could be precision, recall, accuracy, etc. And based on that, what you can do is, if the value is going beyond certain threshold, you can kick off the, what will say, pipeline, and which will finally go ahead and trigger off the retraining, right? So that is something which you can build it using the monitoring and the pipeline option, right? As in, when the model performance degrades, you can go ahead and kick off the retraining side of it, right? One of the very important feature also which is offered within Vertex AI is Vertex AI experiments, right? So Vertex AI experiments basically give you the impact of the features, right? So you can check that, consider if you're coming up with a new version of the model, which we generally do as a part of A/B testing. You can definitely check that which one is better, right? You can go ahead and basically try to tie up with some performance metrics, some performance criteria, and based on that, you can test both of the model and define that, okay, model one works better than model two, and definitely take a call. So just to summarize the answer over here, both the features are available as part of monitoring and the Vertex AI experimentation, right? So you can achieve both the features using the Vertex AI platform itself. And thanks a lot for asking this question again, once again.
Yeah, thank you for taking that up, Murari. That was really insightful. And moving on to the next question that we have, it's again a small question, and I think it will be again directed to Bhushan over here. So it again redirects to RAG models that we were just talking about. So the simple question is, can we create our own RAG model? If yes, then how?
Yeah. So can we create our own RAG model? Yes, definitely you can create. However, I won't recommend you to start with that. Uh, this is a very frequent question, and I would reiterate this. Your strategy is to start with an out of box product, uh, quickly build a prototype, evaluate it, see how it is working. In case if you feel that the answers are not as per your expectation, go for an option two, try with a discovery API and work on answering part of it. As a last option, think for building your own RAG. Uh, it is exciting, but it's very time consuming because entire process needs a lot of experimentation and evaluation. So start with an out of box product and build your prototype quickly, and you can keep improvising your model in parallel. There are no restriction on it. Go for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhushan. Thank you for taking that up. I'm sure that answers this particular question. Moving on to the next one we have in the pipeline, it's for Murari. Can
Sure.
Vertex AI be used to deploy and manage custom trained NLP models for tasks like sentiment analysis or text summarization?
So definitely, as I said, right, Vertex AI offers you out of the box custom, and as I said, right, it's a platform, so it gives you the functionality and flexibility to do anything with respect to your machine learning life cycle, right? So you can go ahead and deploy and manage the custom trained model also within the Vertex AI. Based on to the type of model, consider you asked about specifically about NLP type of model, right? You can go ahead and either use the pre-built container. So we offer something called a pre-built container, which is primarily trained using the TensorFlow, PyTorch, skitlearn, or you can bring your own custom container also. Why we give the pre-trained container or pre-built container is because it helps you faster time to market. Once, what will say, the training is done, you can copy that model artifacts, which could be a pickle file or could be a PV file to the cloud storage, and then finally you can go ahead and import that model as a part of model registry. So definitely you can bring your own custom model also, and then finally once and then there are multiple ways to import that it into a, what is the GCP platform or the Vertex AI platform, and then finally consume that model as an endpoint, right? So you can deploy that model into the model registry and finally to the endpoint to go ahead and consume it, right? So it's again a very straightforward process, and I would be happy to share the documentation link also for the same.
Thank you very much, Murari, for taking that up. Yeah, just to give everybody around here a heads up, since we have a limited time for this particular session, right? So we have shortlisted some questions that can be live answered on this particular call, right? Besides that, there are, so for all the people whose questions have not come up till now, please don't worry about it. We'll be forwarding those to the Google experts like Bhushan, Murari, and others, and we'll get those queries answered accordingly. But for the sake of restricting the time limit and as well as answering the questions which were very common and very and the questions that needed to be addressed, we are restricted to these. So we are left with five already existing questions as of now, and we'll then be moving on to some of the live questions that we can address accordingly. So yeah, thank you for that, Murari. So next question is from Bhushan. The question is, how do I integrate ethical considerations into my AI project?
Okay. So if you're using Google models, those considerations are already taken care of.
Okay.
So, however, if your application is demanding for spatial treatment on ethical considerations, we need to know about what are those. And anytime in your application, you feel free to bring your own responsible AI guardrails. So Google has published a responsible AI principles and all that. There are many open source tools also. So based on your applications, you can do something add on the top of it. But using Google models, you're already covered with most of the ethical considerations already taken care of. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bhushan, for answering that question in a very crisp and short manner, so that I'm sure that answers the question. Moving on to the next one we have for Murari. It's
Sure.
again on Vertex AI. So the question is, can Vertex AI be used to manage and monitor the performance of large-scale machine learning models deployed across multiple edge devices?
Again, so very interesting question, and thanks a lot for asking that. Right. So one of the very important feature which anyone looks for is that consider now we have developed the model. What's next? Can we take that model and deploy onto the edge or something outside GCP platform? Definitely, you can do that. But how does it works is consider you took that model, right, and deployed, maybe consider onto a edge device which could be your manufacturing asset or could be your phone or could be anything. You basically leave the GCP premises, right? The model is deployed as a part of SDK or a container into your edge application. So what you need to do is you can keep a copy of that model into the GCP platform and get the data in a streaming fashion and try to basically train and tune this model and just observe the, what is the performance of both the model. In case you feel that you need to go ahead and deploy the new version of the model, you can definitely do that. But I would say when it comes to the management, it needs certain bit of customization. It cannot be 100% what will say ready-made, but definitely as part of auto MLs and other functionality or other model platform which we offer and can be deployed onto the edge instance.
Understood.
Hope I was able to answer your question. And I think with relates to that, there was one more question which has been asked onto the live chat that if build my own auto ML vision model, can I export it to the edge so that the inferences can be done onto the edge? Definitely, you can do that. Whoever have asked this question, and there are multiple options to take that model as a form of what I'll say. You can use it TensorFlow Lite. You can use the edge TPU TensorFlow Lite. You can basically export that model in a form of container. You can export it as part of .ml model file, and even you can export it as a part of .js file, which is a TensorFlow.js file. So there are multiple options available as part of AutoML through which you can export that model and then deploy it onto the edge.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Murari, for first of all answering the existing question and also linking that and taking that up with the live question itself. So I'm sure that creates an entire flow for the users and the audience to understand. So thank you for taking that up. Yeah. Moving on to the next question we have is for Bhushan. So, how can we enable users to ask natural language questions about tabular data without requiring complex SQL queries?
Yeah. So, yeah, NL to SQL is one of the most popular use case, and I'm seeing a lot of traction with this. And one of the advantage of if you could build a system like this, which is really accurate, it is really helpful for non-technical people who don't understand SQL. They can just go and type in an English and get the job done. So, one of the burning needs for this. Okay, so I'll help you to attack this problem in a step by step. Okay, the very simplistic step that you can do is by using few short prompting. Okay, for example, you write comment and expected SQL query as an answer. Give the pair of natural statement and SQL multiple combination to your LLM, and then you fire your natural language question. LLMs are smart enough to give you these kind of outcomes. Now, this is your first step. Obviously, this is not scalable, and obviously, you will say that what if there are multiple tables, my data size is big, and all that stuff. Okay, so start with simple, start with few short prompting, and see what are your baseline results. Step two, you can actually play with some very interesting stuff. Okay, so if you're familiar with LangChain framework, so LangChain actually has multiple SQL chains, and even there are agents to interact with the data stores in SQL. So this is really going to be an advanced and exciting options to try out. I'll put a very nice blog link which has explained how to use LangChain for that. And for this hackathon, especially if it is going around Google, if you have your data in BQ, LangChain has a support for BQ as a data store also. So looking forward for a very interesting use case on the grounds of NL to SQL. Maybe we had just discussed about a data analytics tool. Maybe you can come together and develop something very interesting. I'm posting a blog link. Have a look at it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
definitely. We'll share. We'll definitely make sure to share these resources with the team, and we can circulate that across the participants as well, so that they can also have a look at the insights over there. Yeah. So thank you for that. Thank you for answering that question, Bhushan. The next question is for Murari. What are the ethical considerations for developing and deploying personal assistants and chatbots interacting with real users?
Sorry, can you please repeat your questions? I could not follow it completely.
I believe we have a stable internet connection. Are you able to hear me clearly?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So the question is, what are the ethical considerations for developing and deploying personal assistants and chatbots interacting with real users?
Okay, so see, as part of Google Cloud Platform, right, we have different type of solution, right? One of the very powerful solution which we offer is search and conversation, right? So, which is like a low code platform. So, with that, what you can do is you could, and again, when I'm talking about the conversation, it comes with multiple different generative AI features, which is like generative AI playbooks, generators, fallbacks, etc. Right? So, basically, when you use this generative AI features along with Dialogflow, it makes it so powerful that it can help you to solve any type of AI system problem. One of the common use case which we see, which comes with this Dialogflow, or I would say the conversation, is during the what will say the customer support, right? And we see there are a lot of use case coming towards customer support, customer service, customer experience using the Dialogflow, which is powered by generative AI. So again, just to summarize again, and since I am GenAI expert, I always try to use the summarization on top of my answer. So just to summarize it again, right? You can go ahead and use the search and conversation with the which is powered via the generative AI services or the features.
Sure.
Uh, Abhiraj, can I add more to this
Yeah, of
question?
course.
Just
Please, Bhushan,
uh,
please feel free. Yeah.
yeah. So again, I'll reiterate. Like if you're considering using Google products, like Murari also mentioned about Vertex AI search and conversation for
Right.
building your personal assistants, they are already built in with responsible AI principles. Okay, they filter out responses such as sexually explicit content, toxic content, violent information. Okay, Additionally, the summarization response contains safety attributes, which are like harmful categories and the topic that might be considered as sensitive. That is already taken care by Google products. Okay. Additionally, if you are building your custom answer on the top of it, the LLMs that you generate for answer generation, right? For the custom approaches, you can configure the safety attributes, like within that, in a config you can actually set those attribute. If you want to get rid of hate speech, harassment, sexuality, explicit content, dangerous content, etc. So we provide all these things in order for people to develop the chatbot, which will cover all the ethical considerations. Hope this helped. I can also share some of the links if somebody wants to deep dive into it.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Bhushan, for adding to that, and thank you, Murari, for taking up that particular question. It really helps, and that was really insightful. Yeah, so I have one last question over here. So I'm just going to read it out, and please, Murari, Bhushan, please feel free to put in your thoughts across for that particular question. So it goes like, can I load my raw data into Google Cloud and process it using models from other sources to annotate my data? So can you draw a roadmap for the same?
Yeah, I can take this up.
Okay.
So, uh, what the question is about? Uh, a person is having some data which is not labeled, and that person wants to use some other models for labeling that. Like, the first question is, how can I do this? So
Yeah.
you can use Vertex AI Model Garden. In a model garden, you will see a lot of open source models other than Google models, which are open source models, which are there. So you can simply use those models. However, I would recommend to be a little bit cautious on this task, because see, you are using other models to label your data. And what if those models are making some errors in the labeling task? So you will have inconsistency in your labeling task itself. And what if that inconsistent data you use for further training? So it's an error propagation gonna happen. So if you are just asking, can I use open source models from Vertex AI? Yes, you can use. Using it for labeling purpose, I would recommend to think a little bit more on that option.
Right. Thank
Murad,
you.
if you want to add more
Yeah.
to it.
Murari, if you can, if you want to add something, please feel free to.
No, yeah, so definitely, I think a very valid point which Bhushan has added, Bhushan has mentioned, right? So when we do the labeling, right, it's very important to understand, because if our foundational thing in itself is wrong, right, we'll try to propagate that error to maybe the further models, right? So when you are trying to go ahead and select any model, though as part of Vertex AI Model Garden, we offer more than 130 plus LLM models which you can go ahead and consume. There are very specific models which are domain specific. I'm not sure, folks over the call, Google offers two domain specific model called as Mid LM and Sec LM. These are very what is it, domain specific model which are there also as a part of Model Garden, which you can go ahead and consume. So Model Garden is like a repository of model which you can go ahead and consume based on to your, we'll say, requirement. It could be labeling task. But to Bhusan point, it's very important that your data set is a proper, organized, or would be a clean data set. Because if it is not a proper data set, you will go ahead and propagate that error to further downstream, right? So I completely agree with Bhusan on this. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Murari, and thank you, Bhushan, for taking up those questions. It was really insightful listening to your particular answers, and I'm sure it would have answered a lot of queries to all the participants who are here on this particular call in this session. So, moving on to the next section or the next phase. That's all for the for the questions we had in place right now. Besides that, there are some other questions as well. We'll be directing those to you offline, and based on that, we'll get those questions answered and forward those particular insights accordingly to the respective teams. So that's what we can do. Now we can. I was having a look at the chat box lately, and there are some questions that have come up. So I'll just read a couple of questions from there, and based on that, we can pick up the questions from the live chat. Right. So yeah, the next question is. I'm trying to build a vision monitoring application with continuous or near continuous interference. How do I build a vision pre-filter to minimize Gemini Pro Vision inference costs? So Bhushan, Murari, anybody, if you would like, yeah, Bhushan, please.
Yeah. So It's a very complex ask, because the person is building a near real time kind of an application, not willing to pass everything to a Gemini. So I would recommend to have a look. So you can use Google's video intelligence API in order to use your preliminary filtering task, and that can be done at a near real time, and then pass only the specific ones that you want to do for your Gemini task. So would request to look at a video intelligence API to do the pre-filter part, and then pass what is actually needed to Gemini model. If
Yeah.
you want, I can share the link of that.
Okay, wonderful. I believe by the end of the session, we're going to be having with a lot of reference purposes, a lot of resources which the participants can directly refer to and get a lot of clarity on that. So yeah, thank you for that, Bhushan. Murari, if you'd like to add some thoughts
No,
on
no,
that, yeah.
no. I think Bhushan has already responded. Let's go to the second question.
Understood. Understood. So yeah, let me just quickly have a look if we have any other questions which have not already been answered for this particular call. So I think I have one. So it goes like, does Vertex AI support integration with Nemo guardrail? So Murari, Bhushan, if anybody of you can take this up and shine some light on this.
No, sorry, I'm not aware about that. Bhushan, do you want to take this?
No, same here. We'll get back to you on this.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
So okay,
we'll come to this question definitely. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. We'll take this question up. We'll share it with you offline, and we can have a chat about it, and we can share the answer accordingly. Not an issue on that. So I think that's it for the live questions as well, because there are some live questions that came up which have already been answered in this tally of questions. So I think that's all for today in this particular session. So Murari, Bhushan, thank you very much for this particular session. It was really insightful and really wonderful for listening to both of you. And to all the participants out there who are listening to this particular call, I'd just like to reiterate that this was, of course, the AMA session. We are concluding with this. But if you have any other questions, any queries you'd like us to address, please throw it up on the support email. We'll be happy to address those. We'll be happy to connect you with the mentors and accordingly get the questions answered. And just on the heads up that we're kind of running short of time on the idea submission deadline. So the idea submissions and the registrations for this hackathon would be closing on 17th, right? 17th of March, that is this Sunday. So please, everybody, make sure to submit your idea. And if you have not already registered for the hackathon, please form teams, go explore the platform, explore whatever the resources are there onto that particular platform, and get as many insights as you can. And you can also refer to this particular recording moving down the line, right? So that's it for us today. And again, I'd like to just thank Murari and Bhushan for taking this time out from your busy schedules and addressing the queries. It was really insightful and wonderful listening to you. Thank you very much. Yeah. So yeah, again, thank you everybody who has joined this particular session. And again, 17 March, that's the deadline. So yeah, good luck for that and all the best. Looking forward to seeing it. Thank you very much.